is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. But I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith went straight at Floyd Mayweather for brushing aside Terence Crawford after his stunning victory over Canelo. Smith reminded everyone that Crawford had just carved his name into history, doing what no other fighter had ever pulled off, becoming undisputed across multiple weight divisions. He underlined that Crawford built his legacy through grit, brilliance, and undeniable greatness, deserving admiration from the world, not doubt. To Smith, Crawford's win over Canelo wasn't ordinary. It was a career-defining moment that pushed him into the pantheon of legends, and no shade from Mayweather could dim that achievement.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather didn't hold back when speaking about the shock Crawford delivered to Canelo, stressing that this defeat will forever echo through Canelo's legacy. To him, Canelo had been the undisputed ruler of that division, carrying both the aura and dominance that kept rivals in check. But then came a humbling fall, brought on by a man bold enough to rise in weight and confront him inside his own fortress. For Jeff, this wasn't just a minor scar, but a lasting stain etched beside Canelo's name in boxing's history. He underlined that champions are defined by their moments, and Canelo's defining one became a crushing loss to Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith stood in awe of Crawford's victory, his admiration pouring out without restraint. He emphasized that being there for such a historic moment made the experience even more personal, etched into his memory forever. In Smith's eyes, no one in boxing's long history has accomplished what Terence Crawford just did, stepping up in weight to topple a dominant champion like Canelo with such authority. He called it the kind of career-defining triumph that separates Crawford from everyone else, a night destined to live forever in the sport's rich legacy. For Smith, it was more than a fight. It was a monumental shift in how boxing defines greatness.
This was Terence Bud Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there. Because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer spoke with certainty after the fight, making it clear his fighter had nothing left to prove. In his eyes, Terence had reached a place where respect should no longer be questioned. Still, critics find reasons to hold back. That frustration revealed a truth. Despite dismantling one of the sport's biggest names, Crawford continues to fight narratives beyond the ropes. His trainer pointed out that Terence isn't even considering another bout right now, because what he did against Canelo is already enough to seal his greatness. For Crawford, it was never about chasing names. It was about building a legacy that cannot be denied.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24...
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest takes yet, putting Crawford side by side with Floyd Mayweather. He declared that Crawford's name now deserves a place at the very top of any greatest of all-time discussion. For Bradley, this wasn't just about Crawford defeating Canelo. It was about reshaping the very meaning of pound-for-pound supremacy. He emphasized that while Floyd may have perfected the craft in his era, Crawford just showed he could perform on an even greater stage by toppling Canelo at his peak. In Bradley's eyes, this single victory elevated Crawford into a realm reserved only for the sport's true immortals.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. shared a measured take, noting that unlike when Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo years ago, this time both men were standing in their prime. He explained that Floyd benefited from facing a younger, less polished Canelo, which made it easier to outbox him with sharp skill and unmatched ring IQ. But Crawford stepped in against a fully seasoned Canelo, the one who had ruled his division for years with authority. Even though he was naturally smaller, Crawford still broke him down piece by piece. For Roy, that single fact makes Crawford's feat extraordinary, conquering a Canelo far stronger, smarter, and sharper than the one Mayweather fought.
generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to find it. And he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was left stunned by what unfolded inside the ring. From his perspective, Canelo had no solutions for Crawford's nonstop pressure, blazing speed, and razor precision. He called the performance unbelievable, even incredible, one of the most complete showcases ever seen in modern boxing. McKenzie underlined that Crawford not only captured undisputed status, but also proved himself nearly untouchable against even the hardest challengers. His voice carried both awe and respect as he declared that Crawford has now set a bar so high, few fighters, if any, will ever manage to reach it.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney. And I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition. And now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia delivered one of the strongest validations of Crawford's greatness, insisting he has accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather in this very context. He explained that Crawford decisively captured 9 to 10 rounds against Canelo, while showing a relentless hunger Floyd never dared to display at such high risk. Garcia emphasized that Mayweather never attempted to rise and dominate a larger champion in this way, making Crawford's triumph both unique and historic. For Garcia, this wasn't just about records or belts. It was about daring to take chances and prevailing, the trait that separates legends from icons.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, 3-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's 3-division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retires.
Brian Norman Sr. left no doubt when he declared that Terence Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Alvarez was far more punishing than anything Floyd Mayweather had ever delivered. His words struck a chord with fans and analysts alike because they captured the raw truth of what unfolded inside the ring. Canelo, long seen as the king of his division, wasn't merely beaten. He was systematically unraveled by a man who had climbed 2 weight classes just to face him. Crawford's display was a masterclass that reshaped the definition of greatness in modern boxing. For years, Canelo Alvarez ruled as the unquestioned force of the super middleweights. He carried himself as boxing's face, fought its biggest stars, and solidified his status as one of the era's most marketable champions. His reign made him feel untouchable, opponents falling short against his punishing combinations and calculated pressure. But in one night, Crawford shattered that illusion. What stunned the world wasn't just the outcome, but the way it came. Canelo wasn't outlasted or narrowly beaten on the cards. He was outclassed, left searching for answers that would never arrive.
I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Makrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras as
well,
right?
Yeah, different eras, different. It's a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, a legend himself, placed Crawford's triumph in its rightful place in history. He called it a generational fight, the kind of night fans will revisit for decades as a defining shift in boxing. Ward explained that moments like this are what shape careers and separate great fighters from eternal legends. What struck him most was Crawford's discipline, sharp, composed, and calculated from start to finish, never letting emotions cloud the moment. For Ward, this was a true GOAT performance, pushing Crawford into the debate of the greatest fighters ever. By dismantling Canelo so thoroughly, Crawford lifted himself onto a pedestal where only the rarest fighters in history belong.
Beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 38, 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great, great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people called me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That's all for today's video. Stay locked in. Until next time.